come down on the brakes, go right. Get on it, boy. And that's the power of this bike. Alright everybody of YouTube, this is my official review of my 2015 BMW S1000R. I was going to do it when I first bought it, but I figured, hey, why not put some miles on it and then tell you exactly what I like and what I do not like about the bike, like a real review, instead of I've ridden the bike for 5 minutes, let me try to give you a review kind of review. That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, this is it from 2015 and 2016. They have not really changed the models at all. I think there's just a different color scheme for 2016, so hell, this could be a 2016 review. This is it in all its glory. It's Terminator windshield, or Terminator front end. I did change the windshield for the winter to a Power Bronze windshield. It's a little taller, keeps some of the wind off my chest. This is the original front Pirelli Diablo Corsa Rosso Corsa tire that came on it. I have changed the rear tire not too long ago. Still, well, it's almost scrubbed in now. I just can scrub in the edges, but I've been riding this basically since December, so haven't had too much time on the tire. I can't say whether I like it or not, but that's not what this is about. It's about the bike. So first off, looking at it, still stock exhaust. I did put some frame sliders on it, windscreen, protecting the, also I protected the grills, the radiator, and the oil cooler with some Radguard radiator guards, basically. This is the full kitted out S1000R. It has all the riding modes, traction control, wheelie control, the electronic suspension on it, and I can go into detail on that. This is the quick shifter. This is the quick shifter right here. This is what sets it off. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get on it. I just want to go over what I like about the bike, what I do not like about the bike, and hopefully it will help you decide if this is the bike for you. So without further ado, let's get on this bitch. Turn the key to the on position. It's already in gear. As you can see, in the 9 months I've owned this bike, I've put 8,850 miles. So, and if you're wondering if I've had any problems with it since I bought it, I've had 0 issues. Nothing's broken. Knock on some wood. No recalls that I've had to do. So, alright, first thing when you get on this bike, you'll notice that if it's on the soft suspension setting, it's pretty easy to flat foot. I'm 5'11" to 6 foot tall, depending on who you ask on what given day. And I feel like even smaller frame people will fit on this bike well. I've seen Vic Maximus, he's a little shorter than me, and he's on an S1000R. He has issues. He's almost always tiptoeing that bike, and I don't feel like he's but like maybe 3 inches shorter than me. He might be like 5'8". The ergonomics on this bike are very good. You'll notice that your legs are not as cramped as on a normal super sport bike. They still are tucked a little bit, as you can see. Shouldn't look down while I'm riding. And the handlebars are upright, in an upright position. They're not fully up. Fully up would be like here. See how my hands are? But you're a little aggressive forward, maybe by an inch or 2. And I like that on this bike. I think it's perfect. Alright, so your 3 suspension settings, when you go into suspension settings, you have hard, soft, normal. Of course, back to hard. I started with hard, but obviously soft is for when you want to be lazy and cruise on the highway and be comfortable. Medium's the nice in between for when you're still cruising and want to be comfortable in the canyons but not too aggressive. And then then you can always just switch it to hard, which gives it the suspension of a Super Sport, no different than the R if you have your suspension preload set up properly for your weight. And the suspension is about the same stiffness. I mean, there's no difference at all there. But there's 4 modes on this bike. The 4 modes on this bike are Rain, Road, Dynamic, and Dynamic Pro. Rain, it cuts the horsepower down to 130 horsepower from 160. Am I supposed to stop for the school bus? I'm not sure. Okay. It cuts the power from 160 horsepower down to 130 horsepower. Full traction control, full ABS. It also cuts the torque down, but I don't know what it cuts it down from. The torque on this bike, stock, is 80 foot-pounds of torque. When you put it in road mode, it gives you the full power, 160 horsepower, 80 foot-pounds of torque, full ABS, full traction control. In road mode, the throttle is just like a soft throttle, nothing too crazy aggressive. And I leave it in road mode almost 90% of the time when I'm riding it, because most of the time I'm just cruising or commuting or, you know, not getting out of hand wherever I'm at, because we live in the DMV where there's nothing but traffic 24/7. Also to note, in road mode, the wheelie control is full on and the endo control basically is full on. So technically you shouldn't be able to endo the bike, and technically you're not supposed to be able to wheelie the bike, but it does still wheelie. I have in hard acceleration cases got it up to about 6 inches to a foot off the ground before the computers intervened and shut the power down. And it's always a thrill. Alright, dynamic mode is next. Alright, so the difference between dynamic mode and road mode is it switches some of the wheelie control off, so you can do like 2-foot wheelies, and I believe it shuts off some of the endo. It's still full traction control and full ABS, which is fine in dynamic mode because a lot of times you're riding dynamic on the street. The other thing it changes in dynamic mode, which is hard to explain, is the throttle response. So like in road mode, it's like I have to turn the throttle a lot more to go, versus when I put it in dynamic mode, I turn the throttle a lot less and it gives me the same amount of power. And yeah, that's the difference between those modes. Then when you put it in Dynamic Pro, it takes off wheelie control, it takes off endo control, so you can wheelie, you can endo. There's no traction control and no ABS, so it just takes it all away. You can be a straight hooligan on the bike and do whatever you want. I'll probably do a test of that on a different video, not this one, because I actually don't have the plug in under the seat right now. It's actually sitting at home. So let's talk about the pros and cons of owning this bike. We're going to talk about the pros first. First pro is this bike is extremely easy to tip into turns. I've ridden a lot of super sports. Because of the handlebars on this bike being super wide, pushing to counter steer is easy as pie. I mean, I love it. It's so easy to go to a turn and just be like, whoop, whoop, or there's something in the road, you're like, oh shit, pothole. Get out of the way, easy. So freaking easy. Second pro is the riding position. We're sitting upright. You can ride like this all day. The seat on this bike is comfortable. I can go about 6-7 hours full day, a couple 100-mile ride, and most time, as long as we weren't burning to death from the sun, I feel pretty good when I get home. Third thing, wheelie control on a bike that's 160 horsepower is a good thing, I think. There's a lot of times you get overzealous on the throttle, especially when you're trying to race a friend or something like that. And this bike, a lot of dirt in the road. This bike will keep you from getting too overzealous and be sitting on your ass in the middle of the road while your bike does somersaults end over end. This bike is excellent for suburban, like when you're going through suburbs and cities and twisties. This is the bike for that. I get on the throttle, I lose my train of thought. This bike is perfect for everything but highway riding. Highway is okay on this bike, it's not designed for it. Like, there's a lot of wind resistance when you're going on the highway. And it's not always beating the hell out of you. It's only beating the hell out of you if it's a windy day. Like, sometimes it's smooth over you, but when you go from this and then you jump to a Super Sport, which has higher gearing, it's just totally different. You can tell, like, a Super Sport just wants to go, no resistance. I rode on a double R, and that bike at the higher speeds just cuts through the wind like butter. This at 70 miles an hour cuts through it, but it's not as smooth as if you wanted to just tour on the highway all the freaking time. So I would say this thing is great. And like, if you want to cruise on the highway and have the same motor, I would get an XR. But other than that, I'll take this in the twisties any day. Like country roads like this. And then in the city, this is fine. The gearing's nice and low. First gear's decent. Like, first gear on this bike, first gear on a double R, first gear I believe goes to like 60 on this bike. First gear on the double R goes to almost 100. So it can be a handful if you're probably sitting in traffic. This is a lot better in that stance. We're gonna get to the double R later. I'm just trying to compare it to Super Sport, and the most recent Super Sport that I rode was the double R. So look at this shit. Look at all this fucking sand. It's no fun. Hello, geese. Oh yeah, this thing is a canyon carver. If you have canyons, if you don't, and you have just rolling valleys and hills, this thing is perfect for that too. And the throttle response in road mode, which I've heard other people call old man mode, and I kind of just chuckled and laughed because I was like, you even own a single R, man? The throttle response is no different than any other Super Sport. If I want to change and have a more aggressive throttle response, I just put it in dynamic mode, and that solves that. The other pro to this bike, which is hard to demonstrate and show you, but the brakes on this bike are Brembos, and they are freaking amazing. You hit the brakes in an emergency stop, plus you have ABS to go with it. You can panic stop as much as you want, and you'd be like, oh my god, dead stop like that. It's fucking amazing. Freaking amazing, boy. The cons on this bike, I really don't have too many cons on it. Quick shifter sometimes does funny things where it seems like it doesn't want to pop it up when you're, it really pisses me off when I launch off a line trying to get somebody, and then I go to second and it just the lever goes up but nothing goes into the next gear. That pisses me off. It happens like 10% of the time. resistance can get to me, but that's only when I'm on the highway. And I think the most it gets to me is when I'm on a cold day on the highway, because then I'm just freezing to death. And yeah, I can't do nothing about it, so I just gotta sit there and suffer. But those are like the only two cons. And well, shit is expensive on this bike. Let's put that out there. You buy a BMW, you buy it new because you got the warranty for 36,000 miles, 3 years, 36,000 miles. So when shit breaks, you just take it to BMW and you go, what happened? Obviously, brake pads are expensive, tires are expensive, but that's on every bike. And yeah, but with all these electrical doodads, you want to have the full warranty. You don't want to fuck around. But yeah, I love this bike. I was thinking about trading it in and getting a double R, but now I've came to the conclusion that this is the party and the double R is all business. And you'll see that in my next review. The next video coming out is the double R video. I get on it, I literally shit myself, and then I go almost quiet. I talk about it some, but it literally, I realized what that bike is for. And daily riding, it's hard to say if that bike's for daily riding, like every second you're on the road and on a bike to be on that one. It's a tough decision for me. I love that bike. I will have a double R soon enough, but I will not have just a double R. So that bike was crazy, but that's in my next video. Me and Jogo 101 have been working on some t-shirt ideas. Right now they're being sold through his storefront on Teespring. Obviously the Jogo 101 shirt is his, and I suggest you buy it. I've bought one. I support him. I support my bros. Obviously the other two shirts are kind of like a co-creation that we both came up with. I encourage you, if you like them and you want to buy them, I'm not holding a gun to your head. All it does is support me and Jogo 101 and supports the channels, supports buying gear and motorcycle fuel and tires to continue on making videos, and we love the support. If you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up. If you really like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's down underneath. Actually, I'll put it right here on the screen. Little annotation that you can click. I thank you guys for the support. Till next video, peace.